We start a Sandbox experience with busloads of people and a whole load of nothing. This is where the park begins, and where I start my long journey of getting wonderfully over-involved with some of the early customization features, the props, the decorations. You get the idea. All in an attempt to build a broadly appealing, profitable, and enjoyable park for every park goer. Real quick, thanks to Frontier for sponsoring this video and providing me with a copy of Planet Coaster 2. If you'd like one as well, you can check it out using the handy little link down below. Now, let's get back to park goers, where their simulated needs require things like food, drink, entertainment, comfort, and so much more. When it comes to roller coasters and rides, well, the options here almost feel endless, and this is supported by a variety of neat little aesthetic features, service buildings, food shops, and each one of these goes even further. These are just the default templates, but you could design your own little shack and the menu pricing that goes with it. The options with rides feel fantastic. The pre-built blueprint options often feel like a welcome shortcut when you're first starting out, though customization overall allows you to get down into the minutiae of details in perfecting these rides. While most customization is an optional, yet massive feature, stretching from the basics like path, width, and decorative props, through to the color, angle, size, shape, speed, and capacity of the ride, everything about anything is customizable, and generally it's pretty fun to use. Sometimes you just want to develop a park though, get rides out there and start making money, and that's where you can take one of the pre-built blueprints on offer and just go to town. And much like all of the difficulty in simulation settings, you can also opt to customize things along the customization scale. You could take a prefab building or ride and work a little magic from there. This Flume water slide is a great example of what can very easily be done. Take a base ride, 3 slides going down, maybe change a few colors, entrances, angles, and then add an extra slide on the side. One for the more, perhaps, adventurous park goers as you push the limits of that downward angle. My approach in general with designing this park, and in Planet Coaster 2 more broadly, is to embrace the sandbox, the efficiency, and try to create the most optimally running and hopefully kind of fun park that I can. I like some difficulty, and I really enjoy messing with the aesthetic design and appeal of the surrounding scenery for that sweet scenic bonus within the park. This really does go down to the tiniest little detail, and forewarning, it's entirely possible to lose a lot of time to placing down little things like this. Scenic ones, or really more useful, more practical ones. I find playing around with fixed, custom, and dynamic pricing once I've done all of this decorating is very enjoyable as well, and you'll see a little bit of that play through as I move through the rest of the video. There's a fun sort of game within a game here on lots of different levels. On the aesthetic level, the customization, but also on the pricing side of things. Push the prices up too high and demand will shift elsewhere in the park, and you can use that to your advantage. People walking around will likely go and explore, maybe for something more exciting like this ride here. And that can have a neat flow-on effect. Perhaps they're now walking by an area with more eating and seating options. Or perhaps through a highly monitored, secure area to keep on top of pickpocketing within the park. Maybe I've directed demand flow towards a conveniently placed souvenir shop, ready to rip them for another $14.25. The old force them through the gift shop on the way out trick, carefully managed, of course, by a neatly organized, often automated roster, to be honest. And this is where some of the overarching parts of the simulation come into account, rather than the customization and the fantastic roller coaster rides themselves. Park management helps you deal with the variable challenges of the simulation, really. Should you choose to have park finances enabled, then this is where the strategic simulation elements are on full display. People's needs, the park's reputation, attraction, security, and rating all factoring in to your overall success in the game. Moreover, demographics and common positive thoughts, as well as perhaps complaints, can all be managed here alongside guest needs. This is a really easy UI to use, gives a lot of information very quickly to help you finesse perhaps even the finer details of your park, like this wonderful vegan cactus entertainer here. Or perhaps some shortfalls when it comes to queue time. Maybe this ride is a little bit too cheap. Or maybe it's too expensive, and that's why there's barely anyone here to fill up all of the seats. Some of the fun features around the edges, like this first-person camera mode, also help to add to the, granted not core gameplay, but the kind of playful elements around the edges. And that's something that Planet Coaster 2 does incredibly well. It gives you all of the tools to do things wonderfully, or perhaps to muck things up as well. And it gives you that kind of greater ability to just have a bit of dumb, playful fun inside of what is generally quite a complex simulation. One thing on perhaps the more complicated or more vital side of things that I absolutely love to take advantage of are the track options. Rides? Well, yeah, of course. But also mass transit-oriented options, too. These stretch from mostly or completely ride-oriented configurations, very similar to this Iron Claw here, which is proving increasingly popular, so let's pump up the prices a bit, through to maybe something more playful, like a go-kart or a gondola ride, right the way to purely transit, though hopefully still very fun options like trains, bus road networks, and high-speed, glorious monorails to cart people around from one end of the park to another. Managing the movement of people is fun on loads of levels. The aforementioned gift shop trap phenomenon can be replicated on steroids when you're deciding where to build a ride and where to dump busloads, monorail loads of people once their journey has concluded. Transport also has a vital role to play as your park grows. Like I say, getting from one area to the other, whether you suspend it in the sky using the game's sort of auto-place, auto-complete track function, which generally works pretty well. It can struggle a little bit when the park is very full and you're putting quite a challenge against it, but it is largely responsible for all of the snaking, winding tracks you see in this video. And the ones that you don't see, I've probably buried underground for maximum efficiency. As I begin to develop stage 2 of my park, my summery, aquatic-themed section here, mostly a water park section, to be filled with those very crowd-pleasing pools, the distance that my pool park goers have to walk may simply become too much for some, too difficult. It'll bring the overall appeal of my park down if it turns into just a trek through the wild. So some carefully placed, money-making pit stops are required for my park as I expand along the way. And so too are the motorized transit options that help to deliver people, from one side of the park to another and to those hot topic areas. I mean, just look at that ride. How could you resist riding that bus, maybe even just for fun? And of course, the fun doesn't stop there, with a variety of pre-built custom options that suit this theme particularly well. Performance and change-wise, I don't really have any significant problems. I'm playing and recording, and generally the game runs really well. It's smooth, and it's come a long way since the game launched in November of 2024. It's had roughly 6 or so major content updates, and the community seems to have generally really enjoyed them, with review scores trending upwards positively, noticeably over time. The updates have been significant not just for that performance and stability, but also in adding a roster of in-game content. Many of the neat elements so far in this video were added in updates over the last 9 months, including security features, security guards to catch those pesky pickpockets, restaurants to better meet hunger, thirst, and comfort demands of the park, on-ride photographs, and their wonderfully profitable photo booths, and several design themes, from sci-fi ones through to pirates. I think it's fair to say that the updates have overall helped to build a much more enjoyable, transformed experience here. And the joy of running a roller coaster park extends beyond the highly custom sandbox mode here and the finessing of financial detail. For the game's career mode starts as a slow-paced experience, a little bit like a tutorial teaching you some of the basics and necessary skills, but it quickly becomes much more than that. Career levels feel lovingly crafted experiences. They have superb park design, enjoyable challenges that will help you learn all of these things here, from the minutiae of running an advertising campaign that I maybe didn't need to run, managing staff, and moreover, designing a park that looks good and is fun. There's lots of options here, including online play and sharing, and in fact, that kind of brings me through to my conclusion for this video. Overall, Planet Coaster 2 is a very fun, sometimes goofy, joyous roller coaster park building simulation game. The visuals are bright, they're snappy, and most of the game's tools and features make building and operating a park fairly easy, fairly straightforward, and very enjoyable. The number of options and customizations on offer allow us to really dial up or down, though that's probably going to be less necessary, all of the different difficulty simulation options, so you can go through from a purely sandbox experience right the way out to something far more nuanced. Moreover, the entire management options for the park, the power grid, right the way through to the financial side of things can just be disabled if you just want to play on the fly or in preparation, a simply designing and building based experience. Planet Coaster's 2 immersive customization and build flexibility is for me by far its greatest strength. From grand scale park design and landscaping down to the minutiae, the color of a park bench, the angle of a piece of a ride's track, and those subtle little flower pots that I've dotted throughout and across the park's blank spaces. The customization stretches online too, with a massive array of ride blueprints detailing entire parks made by the community. Maybe you might even choose to share the management of one with a friend. Ultimately, Planet Coaster 2 is just plainly and simply a pretty fun experience. If you like simulation games, if you like designing a park, you're probably going to like this. And hopefully, you liked this video. It is loads of fun to gather the little visuals like this and piece a video like this together. So thank you very much for being here. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to check out Planet Coaster 2, you can do so again using that link down below. I'll see you next time.